In this lecture, we're going to be looking at scene layers. The Blender universe is a universe that has different dimensions or layers. We're going to learn how we can switch between these layers. We're also going to learn how we can move objects to other layers and how to make multiple layers visible. I'm then going to give you a challenge. So let's log in to Blender. So we have multiple scenes in our project. The way we can navigate between these scenes, we have two methods. The first method is when we come down to the info bar, we have this series of dots. So we have 10 dots here and 10 dots here. Each of these represents a layer. If that layer possesses a circular dot inside of it, such as this first layer, then it means that there are objects in that layer. If we click on another layer box, Blender takes us to that layer. So now that we're in layer 2, there is at the moment nothing in layer 2. There's no camera, no lamp, no cube. But we can add these things in Blender. So we can go Shift A, we'll add our cube. Shift A, we'll add our camera. We'll bring that one over actually. Shift A, we'll add our lamp. And there we go, we've got a second scene. We're just going to rotate that one because I'm not happy with it facing that direction. Excellent, there we go. So that's our scene on layer 2, but we can go back to layer 1 and you notice now that both layer 1 and 2 have dots. We can go back to layer 1, which brings us to our original scene. The second way that we can move between layers are the number keys above your keyboard. So if you've got a QWERTY keyboard, for example, you'll have the number 1 and 2 above the Q. That line of buttons, that line of number buttons, is what we use to move the layers, unless you have emulated the number pad, in which case those numbers will be used for camera views instead. But if you have not emulated a number pad and you were to press 2, you would go straight to layer 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So there we go, that's how we can move between layers. But how do we move our objects to other layers? Well, to do this, we simply right click to select the object, press the letter M on the keyboard, and we get a pop-up menu that says move to layer, and we can select which layer to move them. So I'm going to move my cube to layer 5, and now it's disappeared. But if we have a look at layer 5, there's our cube. So there we go, that's how we can move objects to other layers. Finally, how can we make multiple layers visible? So I'm going to go to layer 2 and I'm just going to move my cube to the side. I'm going to go to layer 1. To make multiple layers visible is very simple. We simply shift and click other layers so that more than one layer becomes visible. So I'm going to hover over layer 2, shift left click, and we now have layers 1 and 2 have combined to form a single layer, at least in terms of what we can see. So there we go, that is your introduction to layers. We can go into a lot more depth in future in the scene tab. This is dedicated to layers, and this is in fact another way in which we can go to any layer we want. But we'll go over this another time. For now, I have a challenge for you. I want you to create objects and place them in 4 separate layers. create as many objects as you want, even create more than 4 layers if you want. But I then want you to make all of those layers visible like I did at the end. Do that, guys, and I will see you in the next lecture.